In just a few hours, America will head to the polls, setting the stage for the next 4 years, and it's shaping up to be quite the spectacle. This election has been anything but ordinary, featuring wild twists like assassination attempts, unexpected candidate changes, and some pretty intense smear campaigns. We're seeing some traditionally red states possibly turning blue and vice versa. The big question mark remains in the 7 purple or swing states with tight races in places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Nevada. As of the latest polls, Donald Trump is leading Kamala Harris in many of these key battlegrounds. Kamala Harris spent her entire day yesterday in Pennsylvania, which has 19 crucial electoral votes, the biggest prize among the states likely to determine the electoral college outcome. On the flip side, Donald Trump has a busy schedule with 4 rallies in 3 states and will close out his campaign with a late-night event in Michigan, just like he did in his previous campaigns. Around 70 million Americans have already cast their votes through early voting, whether by mail or in person. The rest, including many immigrants, will make their voices heard today. After that, we dive into the complex process of counting these votes, which could wrap up by November 6th or will take a few weeks with the final deadline of December 11th. Generally, counting starts as soon as polls close in each state. While the popular vote winner will be declared once all the counting is done, there could be moments when a projected winner is announced in one state while voting is still happening in another. To understand how America decides its president, Ritangshu is here to break it down for us.
So the big buzzword here in everyone's mind is how exactly do the US elections work? How are they separate from different from the Indian elections? And is it possible for someone to get more votes but not be elected as president? Well, that's happened before, most recently in 2016. First, look at the similarities here. So we have 240 eligible voters in the United States here. And once again, just in the case of India, where you do not elect your prime minister directly, you elect the person who elects the prime minister. In the same case in the United States, you elect an elector who then elects the president. Here, the total electoral votes, similar to the total Lok Sabha MPs, is 538. In India, remember, the halfway mark is 272. In the United States, the halfway mark is 270. So the first person to get 270 electoral votes becomes president here. Now, these 270 votes, electoral votes, are divided on the basis of states. Each state gets a number of electoral votes proportionate to its population, which is why the big states have more representation, the small states not so much. Now, here is where the differences start coming up. And let's now proceed to the next important data point here. The key difference, as we mentioned, one, the electoral votes are demarcated on the basis of states, not in an overall homogeneous unit like we have in India. Now, here's the key difference here. Say in Uttar Pradesh, which has 80 Lok Sabha seats here, it is possible for, say, the BJP to get 50 and for the Samajwadi Party to get 30 based on the number of votes they get. However, in the United States, in every state, it's winner take all. So, for instance, in a state like Texas, which is one of the largest states with 38 electoral votes, if a Republican candidate, in this case Donald Trump, even if he gets 1 vote more than Kamala Harris, he gets all 38 electoral votes in his kitty. So, winner take all is a very important thing. And as a result, historically, there are some states which have always voted Republican. Historically, there are some states which have always voted Democrat. So these are states which are seen as banker states. There are some states which are known to swing between Republican and Democrats, and those are known as the swing states. The election always focuses around them. Some states, though, we mentioned, only 2 of them, unproportionally divide the votes, not on the basis of winner take all. Then, of course, these college of electors, or the electoral college, then decides to cast their vote in the beginning of January, and the next president takes oath on the 28th of January here. Now, most cases here, if you have elected a Republican elector, the Republican elector will vote for the Republican candidate here. There is hardly been a chance where there has been a switch, but that procedure exists. So let's then wrap it up by comparing the 2 electoral processes. As we see, 538 electors are selected based on each state's results here. So it's possible theoretically that if you combine all the votes, maybe you would have gotten more votes, but in the basis of the winner take all, you would have gotten lesser votes electorally. Now, so an electoral vote is essentially a representative republic. A popular vote is a direct democracy. That's the big difference here. The next important difference is that we look at citizens voting for a delegate based on party affiliation. Citizens vote for their choice of official here. So, for instance, in a popular vote, you vote directly for the person you want to be at the head of state. Electoral vote, you elect the person who will elect the head of the state here. Delegates convene, as we said, at some point for the next 2 months and convene and cast their votes here. In a popular vote, such as in India, votes are counted, and on the basis of popular majority, the winner is announced. So this is roughly the difference between American elections and elections which we are familiar in India. The things to keep in mind as you track the counting process in the United States is, one is which way are the swing states heading, and based on that, who reaches the magic number of 270. Once that's done, the official process will still take 2 months, but as we know, it's more or less done and dusted once someone reaches the magic figure of 270. Back to you in the studios.
The momentum is on our side. Our campaign has tapped into the ambitions, the aspirations, and the dreams of the American people. And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next president of the United States.
So if you are still on the fence in this election, think about what really matters. Think about the values we were taught by our parents and our grandparents. Think about the kind of country we want to be. And understand that your vote really does count. Here in Wisconsin, a single precinct might be decided by 10 or 20 votes. And those votes could determine the fate of our republic, the world that our children and grandchildren will inherit. That is an awesome responsibility. But what an extraordinary privilege that is, to live in a democracy that gives each of us the chance to make a difference, gives each of us the chance to make our voices heard.
Unless something happens in the next 24 hours, 36 hours, President Trump is going to win. Now, second, and the difference here is going to be the Hindu and Indian vote in the battleground states, which is almost 1 million votes in the 7 battleground states when you combine them. So that's what is happening. Hindu and Indian Americans are going to decide who the next president of the United States will be.
Well, some Republicans are also supporting Kamala Harris. Why is that? Why aren't they supporting Trump? Because the race seems to be pretty tight, and that means that he does have substantial support.
Yeah, people are concerned about a couple of things. One, our democracy generally, because Trump has said many anti-democratic things. And January 6th, things like that were very difficult for our community and for our country. And so we want to make sure that we protect that. Locally, actually, federal workers here are actually under attack. He would fire federal civil servants if elected. And so that's really bad for our economy here. And so you see a lot of Republicans that work in the federal government who are supporting our campaign.
Sure. You have Indian origins. And what do you think the outcome of the presidential elections could mean for India and Indian immigrants who are living in the U.S.?
Yeah, for India, I just want to make sure we have a strong U.S.-India relationship, regardless of who's president. I think Trump has vowed to do that. I think Harris has vowed to do that. I also want to make sure that we have an immigration system that works for people who are coming over on, say, H-1B visas. We're trying to get green cards, waiting 10, 15 years. My parents immigrated here in the late 70s. They got their green card in 3 months. And so we need to do more for people when it comes to legal immigration. We can do border security. We can try to address undocumented immigrants as well. But let's do more on legal immigration and for the Indian diaspora.